Welcome to Chat Off the Mat. Today, we have with us Alexandra Charles-Kersey, founder and visionary of Soul Tribes in Houston, Texas. And this is where she shares her love of yoga, sound healing, and meditation. Welcome to Chat Off the Mat, Alexandra. So nice to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I know we share a love of very similar modalities, which we will speak about
Mhm.
today. So I would like to just start off by asking you to tell the audience, the listeners, a little bit about yourself and how you got to became a yoga studio owner, a yoga teacher. What inspired you to be on this path?
Yeah, thank you. Well, hello everybody. So I am from Sydney, Australia. That's where I was born and raised. So I still have the accent if anyone's like, where is that from? And I was actually a professional dancer. So I've been dancing my whole life. And at about 16, nearly 17, I started working, and that was my entire life. My whole goal of my life was to be a professional performer. So I was a dancer. I traveled around the world. I was in some musicals. I loved all the things I did in Sydney. And then at 27, I actually moved over to America. I had enough behind me then to be able to get a working visa for performing. And I came to America and actually moved to Las Vegas. And I was in shows there, which I loved. And I got to do all kinds of wild, amazing things and come from the roof of, 40-foot, buildings and all kinds of great things. And then I ended up coming to Houston, Texas. So that's a little part of the story. In that story of being a professional dancer, I was a professional dancer and a performer when I guess the internet wasn't as big as it is today. And so I did suffer from some injuries because of my performance. And, I went through, healing and getting them fixed and a lot of, work on them. And then as I started to get a little bit older and someone took me to Bikram actually back in the day. Bikram was at its height.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And I thought, wow, this is great. Like I really need this for structure because I was a little bit of a wild child as well. And I was like, well, in my early 20s, I was like, wow, I love this for the structure and this feels amazing. And at the time I wasn't, doing weights or I didn't like running. So I was like, oh, this is great. Besides dancing, I can do this. It's helping with my flexibility, things like that. And then that progressed and I started doing a lot of meditation, deep meditation work, which was incredible. And that meditation brought me to Kundalini yoga, which was like the polar opposite of Bikram yoga. And through that, I remember there was this one class I was taking, and one class I took, excuse me, and I don't know. I just had this moment of wow, I want to share this with people because before this time, I had never thought I wanted to be a teacher in any aspect. I was like, I'm a dancer. This is what I'm doing. This is my life. I'll work out the next step when it comes to it, kind of thing. And I had previous teachers say to me, like, oh, you'd be a really good teacher. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And for this one Kundalini class I did, I can't remember what it was about, but I just remember being like, oh my goodness, like I would love to share this with people. Like people need to have this. Like this is amazing. And on that path, I decided soon after I had actually moved to America. And then when I was in America, I just happened to the studio that I went to did not do Kundalini, by the way, but they did, all kinds of yoga. They focused on hot yoga and Bikram and vinyasa, all kinds of things. And they were holding teacher training. And I was like, well, this kind of just worked perfectly. And so I did it. And then I think the more that I started learning, I just fell more and more and more in love. And I think being a performer, it was comfortable for me to teach. And it was comfortable for me to be in front of people because I've been doing it since I was 4 years old. And just that, I just loved just absorbing as much as I could. And I think my previous injuries throughout my life where I'd have to go to, we call them osteopaths or, massage therapists, things like that in Australia. I had also learned about myself and my injuries because I wanted to know how to not obviously do it again. So everything sort of helped each other. And I started teaching yoga. I started teaching meditation. I kept, doing different trainings, kept growing, kept evolving. And then I lived in America, lived in Vegas, moved to Houston because I was sick of Vegas, and then loved Houston. Things kept evolving. I actually went back to Australia to be with my family for a little bit. In that time, I was able to learn and grow even more in my teaching and my practice from some incredible teachers back in Sydney. And then, I decided to come back to America because my heart was really here, back to Houston, Texas. And I thought if I come back, it is a big deal. I have to go through more visa processes, things like that. And if I'm going to make this my home, I really want to, I don't know, I want to do something exciting and special. So that is when I came up with Soul Tribes Yoga and Meditation as my studio. And so a lot of evolution. Hopefully this wasn't too long and drawn out.
That was perfect. That was great.
And then I came back and I worked on starting to find my space and put together my business plan. And so every little aspect of Soul Tribes I created and have created. And we opened in December 2019 and we are going strong. So we made it.
Yes.
I don't.
Congratulations.
Who is like, oh, and I'm like,
it's a pivotal piece of history when you can say, I made it through COVID, in the business and you survived it. I love that. And I love your journey. I love to hear for our audience to hear a person's journey, because a lot of people have changed their course of their career. So you were a dancer in Las Vegas and you loved it, but things happened, changes occurred, things in your body, injuries, whatever it was, and then you were able to find something hopefully as fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
If not more even.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're sharing. Yeah, it's different. And you're sharing once again that love of something you do with an audience. Right?
Yeah. When I actually was still performing, I was performing all the way up until the month before I opened my studio.
Wow.
So I was performing up until, I think it was like November 2019, where I said, okay, I'm going to have a little hiatus from my performing and I'm going to focus on my studio finally like opening its doors and getting it running. And in my head, I was like, in about 6 months, I can come and do a couple of little things here and there and whatever. And of course, I have no crystal ball. I don't read the future. And it turned into a lot longer period until even performers went back. And then I think by that time, I've come into a different phase of my life as well in general. And so I've done the little things here and there, but my focus now is mostly my studio. But yeah, you're right. Still just as fulfilling.
Yeah.
Just in a different way.
A different way. Yeah. Well, the universe, I think the universe found a way to guide you in this direction, because just by talking to you and listening to you and seeing you, you have this wonderful energy that I can sense. It's very contagious to other people. I'm already feeling it. I can feel it through this Zoom. Yeah, I love this. You rock. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So that all right. So now. So you did Kundalini, which, by the way, I've tried Kundalini a few times. It's so different than what I've experienced. Not sure if it's something that jives or vibes with me, but obviously it made such an impact with you.
Can I make a point of that? Because I don't actually teach Kundalini, so I want to make that clear. I don't teach Bikram. I don't teach Kundalini.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Kundalini, but I do believe this: you have to have the right teacher. Because I have been to some Kundalini classes and I was like, what is this? Like, it just didn't click. Whereas I think when I took a Kundalini class in Sydney, and this studio unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but it was just these teachers I don't know, there was something about them that or maybe it was the studio and how she required people to have a certain structure to the class. I'm not sure, but I definitely think it's a teacher thing. Which we kind of know that with all classes, right?
All classes.
If you resonate with the teacher, you're going to be like, man, that wasn't for me, which is understandable. But yeah, it is pretty, I don't want to say it's not, there's no negative connotation when I say this, by the way.
It's just different.
It's like kooky and a little bit wild and you're like, what is happening? But
it is. Yeah, it's different. I would love to do a podcast if there's any Kundalini teachers out there that would want to come and talk about it. But briefly, can you just so that the audience knows what Kundalini is, can you give us like just a brief?
I'll do my best, and I hope
Yeah.
no teachers
Okay.
get upset with me.
Do our
So
best.
for Kundalini, we talk about actually Kundalini, not for the yoga part, but Kundalini is that energy at the base of our spine that they say is that power energy of our life
Rising.
that
Yeah.
rises up. Yep. So just like the snake, on the sword, or the
Mhm.
snake winding up. And so in Kundalini, I think Yogi Bhajan brought it over to the West. And then Kundalini yoga is very much of they touch on, they touch on meditation, chanting,
Right.
energy, and they call them kriyas,
Mhm.
and then and movement. But a lot of the movement is very repetitive.
Yes.
A lot of the breathing, they do a lot of breath work incorporated into that. So a lot of breath of fire they do. And again, please, no Kundalini
No,
teacher. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
you're
But
explaining it well. No,
yeah, you do a lot of things with eyes closed.
our
Yeah,
movements.
lots of arm movements, very repetitive, like things
Yes.
you're maybe chanting at the same time, whether in your head or out loud as you're
Yeah.
doing movements, and then breath singing. So it's just a little bit different. It's very, yeah, it can be very repetitive, but very odd. It's not like a typical, like, oh, I'm going to, a vinyasa class or a hatha
Right.
class. It's just very different.
It's very meditative almost. I was doing it
Yeah,
recently and I kind of zoned out a little bit and I thought my arms were going to fall off and eventually I
correct.
kind of worked through it. So yeah, it's just a whole different vibe. But
Yeah, just
so
totally
if you
different.
yeah, you
Yeah.
did a
So if
great
you're into
great
a little bit of like, let's have some weird, wacky, like woo woo, go for it.
yeah.
And if you're
Try
like,
something different,
I
right?
dislike chanting or I don't want to talk about, spirituality, then maybe not for you. But try
Right.
it anyway. Let's see.
Just so now we're going to segue into something
Okay,
different
yeah.
that is kind of can be new to some people that are used to your traditional flow yoga, which I know you teach and I teach as well. But I want to talk about something that we both are passionate about, and that's yin yoga. Yeah,
Yes.
I love yin, and more people are now
I
loving yin
mean,
and didn't
yeah.
know what it was, and a lot of people call it like a big stretch, and I love your
We
term
call
for
it,
it.
yeah, we call it
So
sleepy stretching.
stretching. I just love that. I may use that. I'm not going to
Yes, please use it. Go for
use
it. Go for it.
it. Yeah, it's so talk about if you don't mind, just tell us what drew you to the practice of yin yoga and how different it is than, talk about this whole concept of
Of course.
yin yoga.
Oh, I love yin yoga. I know. I think that everyone needs some yin yoga in their life. And if you go to yin yoga the first time and you don't like it, you should just still go. You should just keep going. So yin yoga is, as we call it, we like to call it sleepy stretching. And we actually have that in our class description so that people go, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds nice. So it's a really beautiful way to just relax and reset. Now, there are different spectrums of yin yoga. So at my studio, we go on the very softer side of yin yoga. So, yin yoga, the basic premise is that you are in poses for, a few minutes. And in those poses, you're not trying to stretch or pull or do much effort, but rather you're trying to relax into a shape, get to about that 70%-ish of, your range, somewhere that's comfortable. You might use props to help, support yourself. And then as you relax into that, your muscles, stop being involved. We safely open up into the connective tissue and the fascia. And then in that, you can start to open up a little bit more. But instead of opening up by pulling or, forcing the stretch to happen, like we do a lot of times in, our hatha or yang style yogas, it's more so of that passive, that let go. Let's come into that yin, that other balance of the soft flow of just allowing and surrendering to the opening. In that as well is, it's a beautiful place for your whole body just to reset. So your nervous system gets to calm down. Your mind, sometimes will be a bit wild, but in that we'll usually start to find stillness the more you practice. And it's just kind of, I think of it, and I talk to my classes as well, of this is like the opposite of everything we do in our society these days, right? Like it's just the opposite because everything is go, 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 do. What's the next thing on your to-do list? How much are you achieving? What's your next goal? And in yin yoga, especially how we teach it, is on that really soft side is, can you just do less? Can you do less? And can you just allow your body to do what it needs
Mm,
rather than you thinking about making it do more?
mm.
So hopefully that was a good explanation.
Yes, that was perfect. Yeah.
And yeah, and the way that I found it was I actually did do a whole big module on it in my teacher training when I very first did it. And then I found that going to some classes, it was just so beautiful. And I needed it too. I'm a very A personality person, which is really good in certain aspects of my life and has got me very far. And also I recognize and know that I need balance. Yeah. And so when I started finding yin, just like I loved meditation, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, yoga and stretching and meditation had a beautiful baby, and this is yin yoga. And
I
so
love that.
yeah, and that's how it felt for me. So I kept
Yeah.
doing it. And because Soul Tribes, the studio we are a non-heated studio. We want to be more on the gentle side of everything. So even our vinyasas are a more gentle vinyasa. We're very breath-based, so very long, slow, deep breathing to help us move. And we found that I had yin yoga on the schedule in the evenings, and we just found that everyone loved them so much, which I was
Mhm.
so happy about. And so we started putting more and more on, and people kept turning up. And we actually have some members that all they come to is yin yoga, but we have yin yoga once to twice a day, every day,
Wow.
every single day. So there's, I think, two, yeah, maybe only Saturday we have one class and Friday we have one. No, we don't. Friday even we have two. So we always have usually one in the morning. We call it our sunrise seed class because we call our yin yoga seed as like a little.
Yes. I like that how
Yeah.
you label your classes, your course
Yeah.
classes. Yeah.
And then we always have one at night as well, except for Thursday night. I like, so we don't have one on Thursday night, but we have lunchtime yin classes. So we have people that come for 45 minutes in their lunch break just to we have the room dark, we have very soft music playing, and everything's very calm. And I just love that all of our people love it so much. And so like I said, we have people that come just for our yin yoga.
And
Um,
and you don't need to be totally flexible or have a lot of
no, sure.
mobility in your body because the props help you, right? They support you,
100%. Yeah.
we can uh, encourage people to make modifications and adjustments based on their anatomy.
Exactly. And, the way that I teach and I have my teachers teach as well is like, yes, this is where we're going. Like, this is the pose, but there's, 7 different ways that you can set up that works for your body. And there's no competition here. And it doesn't matter unless, let's face it, like the room's dark. So you don't even have to worry about anyone looking at you.
Right.
But yeah, it is perfect for everyone and anyone, whatever your body is, because it's just you feeling. Like for us, it's a big, like, how do you feel? Right? Like,
Mm,
what is that feeling like for you? Because if you're in pain, you're not where you should be. We should pull back out. We can give you a whole different pose if this pose is not working at all for you, no matter what. And I think that having that, 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, depending on what shape and pose it is, it gives people that time to be like, okay, well, I don't have to look like that, or I don't have to like, this is hurting. So I'm going to come out and I'm going to try something else, or I'm going to, put a whole bunch of cushions underneath me and, oh, now it feels fine. But yes, it's so good for any body.
yes.
Yeah, and we
Eh,
have people to come that they do have problems of movement or
Injuries.
range injuries. We have some older members that they have things that just do not move in certain ways, but they
Hmm.
love the class because again it gives just so much availability to make it work for you.
I love that. And it allows you permission to slow down.
Yes,
If you
that's the
have
big
a high
one.
stress job, you're like, okay, well, I have 1 o'clock, I have to go to yin class. And it's like they slow down. I have permission to stop to hopefully shut the mind, which takes a lot of effort for some people.
Yes. But even if you're just like so we have a no phone, no iPhone policy.
Good,
And sometimes people are like, oh, but I'm like, out. It's
good.
safe in the lobby. Out it goes. Doors are locked, cameras are on. Like, no. So even if people can't relax their mind at first, because that's a process in itself, but just the fact that you can't be contacted for
Hmm.
that 45 minutes or an hour. You can't look at your screens. You can't send another text message. So for me, it's like, even if your mind's going, because that's the part that's like the last thing usually to get on board of the
Right.
chill zone. but you're still being forced just to be still and
Yeah.
just slow down, like you said, which is, I think we've sometimes, well, hopefully it's coming back now, but that magic of slowing down.
Yeah. I hope it is coming back
Me
because
too.
stress is so prevalent in this society. And I see it with so many people. And I see also an increase in men showing up for classes, which I love. And men tend to be less flexible, but let's say in the hips and so forth, to really work harder. I see them working harder because they
Yeah.
want to be more flexible and they're really, you know, they're making the effort
Yeah.
to show up and do the shapes. I love that you say shapes instead of poses
Yeah.
because it's really everybody has a very unique shape to their.
Yeah. And then that pose is going to look different in my body as it is in your body, as it is in, the 80-year-old man that's next to us, that's different from the, 25-year-old, young man that's next. Like it's just everybody's different. And
And the 80-year-old man may be even more flexible and mobile than the 25. I've seen that as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. That's why I like to
Right.
say any body because
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Anybody. I love that. When I remember when I first started taking yoga again and was introduced to yin as a student, I was told I had to have my leg in a certain way for pigeon pose or swan pose. And I was like, there is no way I will bust a knee. And
Yeah.
then I became a teacher. I've been practicing yoga for a very like 30 years, but I became a teacher like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And I really loved yin yoga. And then as I started to learn more about teaching it, I understood how everybody's different and there's more of a functional alignment versus an aesthetic alignment, that your leg cannot go this way because your knee
Yeah,
is going to break
functionally
or
that's not working.
right? It's not
But we
working.
need to shift these other things so that still you're in a safe place for your joints and having benefit, but it's going to look different because
Mhm.
your bone structure is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people see improvement, right?
Mhm.
And they're
Yeah. Oh my
like,
gosh. So
wow, yeah. Do you,
yeah.
I'm assuming they give you feedback, right? So share some of that
Yeah.
feedback that some of your students have come to you with, like a story of transformation or.
Yeah, we have so many members, whether they're doing just yin yoga or also incorporating some of our other our vinyasa classes, which are still more gentle. But people are saying that they have more range of motion, that they're sleeping better, that their
Yes.
pain in their hips are gone. I had a member that she just popped into my mind, and she didn't take yin yoga that much, but she took a lot of our vinyasa classes that are we call them bloom fundamentals. So just so you know, so our yin yoga is the seed class. Then we have our bloom class, which is vinyasa fundamentals. So nothing crazy, just all nice, like,
Love that.
poses that are fine. And we go slow, and we don't even go from a down dog to step forward. We go from a forward fold to step back, right? Again, making
Ooh,
it
yep.
accessible for people. And then we have our Thrive class. And then a Thrive class is our Vinyasa level up, which is we expect you to know your practice because this is more of an intermediate advanced class.
Mm,
We only have a couple of those, to be honest, because again, that's just not our studio. Our studio is more on that gentle side. But the Bloom people can make it harder
of
easily
course. Yeah.
for beginners. So I say that so it's that understanding. But I am a member that came to my mind just now is she what's it called? It's called not bronchitis, that's in the throat. I just went blank of
Asthma?
no, it's in your joints. I think it's called like
Rheumatoid arthritis or
no, it starts with a B.
oh, okay,
B.
no.
Oh my goodness. I've got
Bursitis.
yes,
Bursitis.
bursitis.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's not bronchitis. That's the wrong
Bursitis. Very
bursitis. So she had bursitis in her hip, and she had her doctor telling her, like, well, there's a good chance we're going to either have to operate or start giving you shots. And she said to me, she's like, okay, what else can I do for my hip to come and like, start to help move things around? She was very, very tight. And I said to her, I was like, look, let's focus on all these different hip stretches. I don't know if it's going to help your actual bursitis. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but you're very tight. So at least we can give your muscles and your joints a little bit more space. So because she was doing a lot of weightlifting and she was very strong, but there was no balance there. So I worked with her on let's get the balance of now let's opening things up in a good way. Let's getting massages. Let's all these things. She ended up having her bursitis go away.
I
And she didn't end up having to have shots. She didn't have to have an operation, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a success story.
Yeah. And she was like, this is
Wow.
amazing. And it's funny now, even her husband comes to us.
Yeah. Why
They all
not?
do, and she brings her, grown up kids every now and again. But yeah, so that story popped into my head. Now, that wasn't necessarily yin, that was just in general, but I bring her up because we were focusing on stretching, and that was her focus, right? Besides her other things. And yin yoga, you know, we have so many people just say that they feel better in general, that they're calmer, that they're just really looking forward to this time to like, oh, let go, and also that, like you mentioned, that permission to slow down. I've said it in my classes before, especially I say, if I offer you a pose and you just actually want to lie there and relax instead, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine. And I've had people that they then roll to their side and then they're just like, and they'll just stay there. And I'm like,
Yeah. It's what
perfect.
they need. It's what
That's
they
what they
need.
need. And then they'll come out and they'll be like, oh, that was it. That was the best class.
Yeah.
They did like 4 of the posts, like 3 poses, but they were just like, oh, that's exactly what I needed. It was that permission.
Isn't
to-
that great?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And, even as you explain your flow type classes that are slower, more gentle, you allow a person to really tune in and notice what's happening in the body as they move the body,
Yeah.
right? Instead of moving in your like Thrive classes where it's more breath to movement, and a person who wants that, they can have that. But people that are just starting out can just go at a slower pace,
Yeah,
right?
we go at a slower pace. We take more breaks. We give more options of rest points, like like I mentioned, even in those classes, instead of a traditional, I guess, vinyasa or hatha class, a lot of times we are in a downward facing dog and then we step forward. Well,
Mm,
that's unavailable for actually a lot of
a
people.
lot.
Right. And so when I started my studio, and I'm very, I'm very big on structure and consistency in my studio, and my people know this. And I said, you know what, in Blooms, we are not doing that. We're not doing it unless you know every single person that's in your class and their practice is strong, and you want to do that as like a growth thing for that particular class. Otherwise, every class we come from a forward fold and we step back and we
Yeah.
go there. And guess what? It's so much more accessible for so many more people. Now,
Yeah.
may it be easy for someone that is a really seasoned practitioner? Sure. But there's other ways that you can make your practice more challenging by being more aware of what you're doing,
Hmm.
right? Or squeezing a different muscle or pressing down a little bit more with intention. So, doing something that's harder, I have a big belief, doing something that's harder isn't always better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
So,
So you also love to integrate other modalities into your studio, into your community, into your classes. And you do a lot of bowl healing. So I'm just going to switch gears a
yeah,
little bit,
of
talk a
course.
little bit about sound bowl and what inspired you to pursue. So you do the sound bowl healing, am I right? You
I
do?
do as well, yes. And I've
Yeah.
also I've trained some of my teachers as
Oh,
well.
nice.
And then I do have a couple of teachers that were already doing this and that have come on my teaching team, but I have trained a lot of my teachers actually now that, yes, do it. Yeah, I found sound bowls many, many years ago. It was very funny. I was at this conscious, like, it was like a party, but it was just for all people that wanted to, like, we were doing, a circle ceremony and,
Hmm.
ecstatic dance. And anyway, it was all the way back in Vegas when I was there. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I think I've seen those before. Are they crystal bowls? They said, yes, go play with them. And I went and I was like, and I was mesmerized by playing these bowls. And I thought, you know what? One day when I have a studio, we're going to have crystal bowls.
Yeah.
And many years later, my love for them just grew and grew and grew. I had my own set that I loved, and it was a solid then, like, yes, this will be part of my studio. And so when I opened, we have dedicated classes just to meditation. So we have dedicated classes just to guided meditation. And then we have dedicated classes to our sound bowl classes. So we call our sound bath class Listen. So it's Listen Sound Bath. We call our guided meditation that's around mindfulness, we call that Connect. And then we have one guided meditation that's all around the energetic body. So the chakras, the aura, things like that, a lot of visualization. And we call that class Infuse. So every time we have the names, we also have what it is after it. So listen, sound bath, connect, mindfulness meditation, and infuse, energy body meditation.
Wow, I love that.
Listening classes got so popular that we have one every single day except for Friday.
Which class? I'm sorry, I missed
Our
that.
listen class. Yeah. So
Oh, the listen class. Okay,
yeah,
so the sound. Yeah. Oh, wow.
yeah. And our sound bowl classes, they're half an hour. We do about 8 minutes of dedicated breath work beforehand. And then after the breath work, which is exactly the same every class, then we go into a solid 20 minutes of sound bowls with no talking, just the sound. I
Sounds
have
yummy.
oh yeah, I know. You need to come visit Houston.
I will.
Come be my guest.
I'm coming.
So in our yoga, we have a dedicated meditation room. So we have a yoga room and a meditation room. Our meditation room is carpeted. It has cushions. We have curtains all around, so it feels like you're in a little cocoon. And then we have two giant crystal bowls, which are both 22 inches and 24 inches. So it doesn't sound big, but when you see them, they're very big. And then we have about another, 7, 8, 9, 10? I think 10 other bowls that are in various sizes and, connected to different chakra points, but also just different notes. And so we have a beautiful plethora of crystal bowls, and we also have a rain stick that we use. And when we do special events, I bring my gong and also koshi chimes, because once a month I have a 75-minute event that I do with another beautiful sound healer of mine, my dear friend. And we both play actually at the same time.
Oh.
Yes. And so we are on either sides of the big yoga room, and everyone is around, and we both play. So we have that once a month as well, which we call our alchemy sound bath meditation. I know you got to come for that. Come.
Oh my gosh.
Third Saturday of every month. Come and have a visit.
I will have. I've never been to Houston, and I would love to. I was thinking about that. I'm like, I need to come down and hang out, and maybe what I could do is I'll bring my drum and jump in.
Well, she
I have a shamanic drum.
Yes.
Drum,
Oh my God, my favorite. So she actually has a shamanic drum and some alchemy bowls, and then I have my gong, and we both have koshi chimes. So we've been doing it now long enough that we are just so synced when we play.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she's about to drum, so I come into this other part of playing, or I'm doing my gong and she accentuates by doing yeah. So it's definitely a magical experience. We sell out every month. But yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say, so it's becoming real popular. And so what is the whole concept around the sound bowls, the sizes? You were starting to allude to that the sizes have something to do with notes, but also chakras.
Yep. Energy centers.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what are the benefits now of having sound bowl? You're laying there. So typical. So if you could we just set the tone here. Everyone's laying down on a mat, right? Or a cushion or
you're just comfy.
Comfy. And then you just start this. And how do you know which ones to do? Or do you have a pattern, or and how do people benefit from this sound healing? What is it about the sound healing that is healing?
Yeah. Amazing questions. How about I start with the benefits, and then I'll talk about
I know there was a lot of questions in there.
No, I love it. I'm exactly the same. So I'm like, I'm keeping track. Don't you worry. So the benefits are, the benefits that have come out are very much like, reduce stress, better sleep, good for anxiety, good for, just moods in general. Also, there's, and I don't want to say like, it's been proven, but all the bowls emit frequencies. Frequencies is a scientific thing, right? And you can feel the bowls, especially the big bowls when you're next to them and I'm playing. Like, we have members that come early just to get the spots as close to the bowls as they can, because they can feel it, right? So with the frequencies and the vibrations of the bowls, those frequencies are coming at us at a cellular level. Yeah. And so that thought process is, well, if we're getting healed at a cellular level, because everything is vibration, right? Like the world is vibrating to its own tune. Our Wi-Fi is vibrating to a different tune. Everything, same as sound. Think of sound in general of, when you're listening to a sad song, you might be happy, but you're listening to a sad song and, it brings some of that emotion out. Or you're, upbeat song, here you go. You're like, I want to dance, right? Different things like that. So mentally, we can hear that sound and it takes over some of our brain patterns. It's healing us on a cellular level. It's helping us come into a space of calm. A lot of people that, in my experience, have maybe found it hard to meditate, even if it's a guided meditation, because they might drift off a lot. They find that the sound just feels like it's encompassing them and it's just easier for them to relax their mind. Now, when I say that, and if anyone has never done meditation, I hope you don't think that I'm meaning have no thoughts at all, because that is not our goal.
And it's impossible.
And you would be brain dead.
Yeah,
And we don't want that.
right.
But it's more so that quietening, that, I can maybe think of something and let it just roll through me. And then, I'm continuing on. And, oh, wow, that sound is beautiful, but I'm letting go. And, we have people that say that, old memories of theirs come up that they just totally forgot about, that just beautifully come up to have this joy, or that they see colors and they feel like there's colors washing through them. So depending on, I like to call it like a woo, like depending on how woo-woo you want to get with things, it's like, what journey do you want to go on? It's, it is proven to, heal in a sense of calming down, right? And that cellular level frequency and vibration that's coming through you is helping everything. I like to think of it as resetting, right? Like giving you a bit of a rinse out of like, oh yeah, let's like vibrate all this stuff, let it come through me, and then like let's refresh and feel new again.
Wow, I love that. I love the way you explain that. And
Okay.
and I've seen people cry.
Oh, yes.
They release
Definitely.
so much
Yes.
from
Yeah.
that vibration, moving the energy in their bodies, their bones, like you said,
Yeah.
cellular level, releasing, and they're just crying and oh my God, it's
Yeah. And
beautiful
some
to see that.
people, exactly. And some people come to me, and they're like, I had tears and I didn't even, I wasn't sad though. I don't know what happened. And I'm like, that's okay. Like, it's fine. Let it happen. And some people just get really calm and some people walk out. I make a little silly joke at the beginning of all of mine. I'll be like, who's ready to go to outer space today? And we will like, woo! Because you feel like you
True.
sometimes just go to another planet. And
Yes.
one thing I do also say when I play is, some people have a meditation practice, right? And that could be that you are working on mantras, or, maybe you have goals that you're working on. Maybe you're working on gratitude or, focused breath, but whatever it is, if you have a meditation practice, this is just even more beneficial because, sorry, let me correct that. I don't mean more beneficial as in you need to have a meditation practice to get the benefits of this. I just meant you're just combining, right? So you can still have your meditation practice, have this also help in this other sense to like amplify it. And if you don't have a meditation practice, which is perfectly fine as well, this is your meditation practice,
Exactly.
right? Like this is it. And that's great, and sometimes we don't need to have a specific goal or practice in mind to show up, but sometimes you can just show up and be like, hey, whatever, I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here
Yeah.
and I'm going to let go. And I've got this time to be right here.
Yeah.
And letting your heart expand, let your mind be free and just be.
Yeah. Have you ever found that some of the vibrations of some of the different bowls
Mhm.
don't resonate? Like maybe let's say, okay, let's
Yes.
say
I'm going to say yes.
you're doing the crown chakra. I know you know what I'm going with this. All right, so you're working on all this chakras, then you hit the crown chakra, and somebody's like, "Oh, this is giving me a headache," or like, "Oh, I can't deal with this." Like you that happens, right? So
Yes.
they're not all going to be, "Oh, I love all of them." There could be one that just doesn't hit the right quote unquote tone with you.
Yeah, for you. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even that actually comes into that other question that you had earlier as well, which we can get to still if you like. But like even playing. So sometimes, and I have played like these bowls are my bowls, right? And I've bought them for the studio and some of them are mine from years ago before I had the studio. And so I know these bowls, right? Like these are, which
Your
sounds silly,
babies.
like, yeah, like your instrument, right?
Hmm.
And like there will be sometimes that I'll go to play something and I'm like, oh, okay. Like you don't want to be played by me today. Right? Like okay, no problem, right? Because obviously, it's not because of the bowl, it's because of me, right? There's obviously something maybe of me that's like, oh,
Right.
maybe that's, maybe I had a stressful day and that triggered. And so then I have to go back to my intention of like, okay, and that's fine.
Mm.
But it will happen. Same as like my teaching partner for the alchemy sound bath. She has alchemy bowls. So she has alchemy bowls and a couple of sound bowls that are quartz crystal bowls. So alchemy bowls are infused with different precious gems and metals. That's what
Ooh,
they're from.
okay.
And they don't play nice all the time with the crystal bowls. So we have times where like I make sure that I'm not playing crystal bowls so that she can play her alchemy bowls. Because if she's trying to play her alchemy bowls and I'm playing my crystal bowls, and it'll be time, and she just says they just don't want to play. They don't want to play. They don't want to play nice with them, right? Just there's different vibrations happening. So,
Mm.
which I know can be a bit like, what is going on? They're just instruments, but they
But
definitely have intention and vibration. And so going back to even quickly touching on when someone else comes in, they might be like, oh,
mm,
I didn't, that one was but maybe that's because there's something stuck there.
yes, they need that.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, can I breathe through this? Can I surrender to this? Can I let go through this?
Yeah.
That's the same as like when I said, oh, that doesn't want to play for me. I wonder what's going on for me.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's like your crystal and alchemy bowls. It's like when you have a relationship or you have a
Yeah.
partner and you guys are just like getting along that day and you're like, okay, I got to leave you alone, leave me alone. And let's do our thing. Or, it's just that interaction between the two sometimes just don't jive. Uh,
Yeah.
do you offer like, do you do one-on-one sessions or private sessions with crystal
We
healing? Center?
do.
Yeah.
Yes. We do one-on-ones, we do groups. We have a lot of corporate group sessions at the moment that companies want to start incorporating this for their team members. I have a lot of people coming with like, I want to celebrate my birthday, or
Oh,
I just
fun.
group. Yeah, so we do a lot of private groups. We have sometimes couples that want to do like a little couple session where we will, maybe the good thing is whenever you're paying for a private and you're getting a private group or private session in some regard, we can always tailor things for you. So,
Sure.
sometimes we'll have people that we're like, can we do some stretching and then also go into the sound bath? So yes, but yeah, we definitely do.
Do you ever incorporate in maybe a workshop type? Do you ever integrate yin and a sound bath?
We
Yeah. Oh
do.
gosh, that must be heaven.
We do. We call it our sleepy stretching and sound healing workshop. And we do it every couple of months. And so I usually play, and then I have one of my teachers teach yin. And we usually make it so that every pose is very soft, more of a softer yin pose. And then we keep them in there for a little bit longer. So at least like usually about 4 minutes-ish
Yeah.
instead of that lower like 3 minute section. And yes, so they will come in, they get into their pose. I'm playing the whole time quietly. And as soon as they get into their pose, she stops talking, because a lot of yin, we like to just stop talking as well, like give the space. And then that's when I play a little bit louder to, fill that space. And of course, I bring it down just enough for her or him to talk, to then bring them out and take them to the next place.
Yeah.
But yes, we do. And we always make it a 75-minute session. So then it's, essentially like a normal
Nice.
yin class for an hour, but then we still have that 15 minutes at the end where we get them really, really comfy in their shavasana or their, way of choice to just be relaxed. And I play at least a good solid 15 minutes of just playing at the end.
Yeah, it's very restorative, right? So
Yes. We have people
yeah.
like, can you
It,
do this every week?
yeah, every day. So like anything, I think having a consistent or showing up consistently. So a one-time sound bath, just getting somebody in there and experiencing a one-time or beginning or a first class is a great opportunity to kind of crack open that door and have somebody be like, oh, I
Yeah.
really love this. Somebody who maybe never meditated or never slowed down and just kept going and has a lot of young energy. And having and keep showing up is important, whether it's for
Yeah.
sound bath or yin yoga or flow. It's having a consistent practice, right? And then
Right.
over time, people can really be aware of the benefits because it's never an overnight fix.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy of, if you go to the gym and you work out once and you do like two bicep curls and then you're like, okay, bye. Like it's not like you're going to expect your bicep to be,
Be like Popeye.
plump as you like, right?
Right.
And so that's the same for anything. Same as I just think that, just like anything in life, like we're very much into instant gratification nowadays.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
really, everything's actually just a practice. Like the more you do something, the more you're going to get benefit from it. Same as if you go for a walk and you've never walked before. Well, at first you might just walk around your block. You're like, oh, that's enough. But you walk around your block every day. By another week, you're probably going to walk 2 blocks.
Hmm.
And then you're going to still feel good. And same. So yes, I definitely agree in consistent practice is going to get you the most benefit, and you're going to see and feel the most out of your practice. One thing I'm really big about though is anyone that's starting out, whether it's at my studio or you're listening online and you're just curious, I do suggest 2 things. Give yourself a few classes before you make your mind up if you like it or not. Because every time you go to something that's brand new, it's a little overwhelming, right? Like even if you're a very calm person, like I can take change, it's easy. But if you're doing something new, your senses are different. You're trying to understand what's happening. Like there's different things at play. But if you go a couple of times, then you can really make the judge of, okay, I've settled into this. I'm getting the swing of it. It's not a surprise anymore. And now after a couple of classes, do I like this or not? Right. So that's one of the things. And also, when it comes to meditation, you can obviously just jump right in, do as much as you want. If you're coming to a yoga class though, and say you've never done it, I definitely suggest don't try to force yourself to do 6 days a week because you're going to overdo it too quickly, even if it's just yin. And you want it to be sustainable, right? So take your bite-sized pieces that work for wherever you're at and then grow from there. Because if you're taking, let's say you fit in 1 class a week. Well, again, if you are consistent with that 1 class a week for a couple of weeks, you might go, you know what? I want to do another class. Now you're at 2 classes a week, right? And then now you're at maybe 3 classes. And it grows in a beautiful organic way rather than, okay, I'm here. I have to do 5 days a week. If I don't do 5 days a week and then you miss 5 days a week and you go, oh, well, I already missed it. So, oh, well, I just won't come now.
Right.
Right. Because that's that mentality. Oh, well, I miss. Oh, never mind. I miss it again. So I'm really big about bite-sized pieces.
No,
Set
it's
your
great.
success.
That's wonderful advice because I think, like people who do CrossFit, not everybody. I know my husband was doing it. It's like, I gotta go every day. I have to go every day. It's like, I have to do it. It's like, yeah, I'm like, you got to slow down. You have to let the body absorb,
Yeah.
the practice. And,
Did he burn himself out?
he got injured. He's actually having neck surgery next
That,
week. So yeah,
oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah,
no,
that's a version of
it's,
burnout. Yeah,
and
your body told you to
it's
stop.
exactly, and also work and not taking in yoga classes, my classes, and
Yeah.
not. So yes, but he'll be fine, and I think it's time for him to reevaluate or evaluate what's happening or how he lives his life and lifestyle and
Yeah.
change things up a little bit, right? Maybe slow down, maybe do some more
And
yoga
maybe
or meditation
that's his thing is he loves CrossFit. Well, maybe CrossFit needs to happen 3 times a week so that he can stretch and restore and
the other
rest
days.
the other days,
Yeah.
and do a yoga class on another day or do just a walk. That's, I think that, and not obviously we're just not talking about just your husband, but just in general, it's
In
like
general.
to find balance.
Yeah.
Same as I used to go, talking about myself, I used to go to a Bikram yoga class. So we're talking about hot yoga. And this was when classes were 90 minutes, right? Every class is now an hour or 45 minutes because we've all got time poor, apparently. But I used to go 90 minutes. I used to go 90 minutes in the morning, 5 to 6 days a week. And then I would go straight to Kundalini for another 75 minutes and 90 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I know I was a machine, very a personality. And then I started to realize like, I'm like, I need to slow down a little, right? And I did, and I found a better balance because then I wasn't exhausted as much and I wasn't overexerting as much. And so finding that balance is like, oh, I can do 5 days or 6 days a week, but not all of them need to be at my full intensity because that
Mm.
doesn't work. And as a woman as well, like, we have different fluctuations in our just a month in general.
Right.
So why are we pushing every single, like we shouldn't be pushed, we should be pushing in a different way than a man should, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, finding that balance of like what works. Or like even for men, you might have a week where your work is so intense and there's something happening and maybe your family member's sick or you're sick. Maybe don't push as hard because your body actually needs a little bit more of that to heal or get better or to deal with whatever's happening. And then you can start again the next week. So sorry, I know we've gone on a tangent there,
No,
but
that takes awareness, and
yeah,
teachers like yourself, and I know I encourage and speak about tuning in. How do you feel,
yeah,
not just physically? How do you feel mentally? How do you feel emotionally from the minute you get up? Like just tune in, and then you know how to navigate your day or what classes to take or what not to do or what not to take. So super
yeah.
important to
Mhm.
tuning into that.
Exactly.
You offer teacher training as well.
I do. I'm about to start one
Are
in
you?
2.5 weeks. Oh my
Great. And
goodness.
do you
Yes.
notice that more people who are their intention, a person who takes teacher training, their intention is not always to teach, right? They can
Correct.
take a teacher training to deepen their practice.
Yes, correct. So I have definitely had some people come to me that and do my trainings that have just wanted to dive deeper. I think there's probably one or two at the moment of this current teacher training that have already said they don't know if they want to teach. They actually just want more for themselves.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so one thing with my teacher trainings, which I've now only since this time implemented, just because it happened one of my last teacher trainings and it was just not the best. And I said, I have a new implementation rule, is for me, I don't take anyone on that doesn't already have a decent practice.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to do all the poses, but I need you to have an understanding. So I do teacher trainings and we touch on all the things that we do in our studio. So we do all the meditations, we do a lot of breath work, we do the vinyasa and we do yin. They get a great understanding of all these things. And then of course, just like any 200-hour teacher training, it's a foundation. It's not the everything. And of course, if you want to go and do extra,
Right.
you can, do that. And that's what all those extras are for, that are out there in the world. Sorry, I think I got on a tangent. But yes, we do have people do it just to deepen.
Right.
I would suggest, though, if you are brand new to yoga, maybe not the best way to learn. I think that a teacher training, you usually have got so much information coming at you because it is a big training, which I know you know as well.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm not a big person. I never encourage someone if they're like brand new to yoga and they're just suddenly done like 3 classes and they're like, I love this. I'm going to do teacher training. I'm a person that says, I think you should do more classes first.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
me personally, I think if you jump straight into teacher training, you're trying to learn stuff that really in a teacher training, we want you to already know. We're deepening that.
Right. Because it's
And if anyone
overwhelming.
thinks that's terrible, I'm sorry. But
No, no,
it's
you
a
make a lot
lot.
of sense because it's very overwhelming. There's a lot
Yeah.
of information. And unless you are familiar with a lot of what is, a lot of the poses mostly.
Yeah, and just the general pose. You don't have to know the in the idiosyncrasies of it because that's exactly what teacher training's for. But like, if I say what's extended side angle or what's butterfly or what's deer pose and that's obviously if we're talking about yin there, and I was doing
Right.
deer poses from both. But if you don't know, it makes it 10 times harder for the training.
Right.
But it's like, oh, I know, it's this one, right? And then you go, yes, now let's delve deeper. Now
Mhm.
let's talk about what's actually really working and what are we doing and where's the alignment and how are we breathing and what are we feeling? And yeah.
And all the cues. And what
Yeah.
what what advice do you have for people that are new teachers that are
Mhm.
just fresh off the YTT, you
The
know?
YTT excitement train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I suggest is keep your own practice and keep trying to learn. Um, I definitely think after teacher training, more depending on what structure you do it in, I have mine that it's a pretty intensive structure and it's done in a shorter amount of time. But I always tell my people, like, let yourself have time to marinate over things, right? Like, and go over things, like revisit stuff that you learn. I think that's the big one though, is keeping your own practice and making sure that you're still learning. I tell my trainees, like, look, I'm teaching you what we do at our studio and all the things that I've learned, but there's so much out there. There is so much out there. And that's okay if you love this now and then you change. Like, I got my first teacher training in hot yoga. I do not teach hot yoga now, and I haven't for years, right? But all those things were helpful on my journey of all the other different trainings I've had and where I'm at. But yeah, keep in your own practice. If you're a teacher that's starting out and you are, actually teaching and you're teaching a lot, that's another, I definitely say keep your own practice, because it's very easy for new teachers to teach so much that they don't practice. And then things get stale or you get burnt out because you're not filling up your own cup. And you're forgetting why you were passionate about this in the first place, because all you're doing is giving, 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 giving.
Yeah.
So we have to find that balance, which, is like what I try to teach my trainees, is like, that's what yoga is anyway. It's just balance.
Yeah.
Like, how can we find the balance, whether that's the balance in your life, the balance in your work and play, the balance in your body, the balance in your mind, where are we finding balance? So
Yeah, that's great advice. Even for people who have been teaching for a while, it's really important to take classes and learn from other teachers, because we all should help each other. I think that the yoga community is a beautiful community, and I know you're big on community and creating community in a tribe, because I love that word tribe. That soul tribe name is just awesome. Beautiful. And we should all be there to support each other. I know that there, like I was saying, there's a lot of teachers and it's very competitive. And, with the COVID and online training and studios are closing, it's so competitive. But, there's enough yoga there's so many people to teach yoga too. So let's all work together and collaborate and support each other and get as many people as we can to love yoga as much as we do.
Yeah, definitely. And that comes into, well, great point is we now have access to teachers that we would never have had access to before, because we can access them on YouTube or some of the, there's so many different apps now that are there that you can have teachers from all around the world, or like, even for us, like there's people that, if you want to come and take my class, well, guess what? We have virtual. It's live, so it has to work with obviously your time schedule depending where you are. But because we have live virtual classes, like you can take my class. Like there's a teacher in Australia that I love, and every now and again, if my schedule aligns, like I'll do their virtual class. Obviously Australia's other world, so it's hard to. But I think that's that beauty is like, we do have that access and that reminder that you're right. Like there is so many people out there and there's so many different ways to do yoga. I'm a big believer is there's no right way. Like they're all great ways, and it's what resonates, because someone that comes to me might not like my teaching, but other people love it. And then someone might come to you and be like, oh, Alexandra, she was terrible, but gosh, I love Rose. You know what I mean? And but that's, I think that's also what we touched on in the beginning of everyone has different resonation, like everyone resonates differently with different people. So just because someone does or doesn't resonate with you doesn't mean the next person will or won't.
And it could be at different days. It doesn't have to, right. So it all changes and it all depends on many factors. But if anybody's ever in Houston, you must go to Alexandra's studio. And if you're not in Houston, you can access her classes via Zoom. So that is the beauty of that. And so I will put all the information in the show notes. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or talk about?
Oh, wow. We touched on a lot of things. We got a great conversation today.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so if there's anyone, maybe I want to leave it with, if there's anyone that's curious about yoga or meditation in general, just go for it. Just try it. Why not? And if you're a bit nervous, which, is understandable, I think, and trying anything new can be scary and daunting or a bit, anxiety, feeling like, just remember all of these practices are there to help. They're all practices to help you just find more of yourself. So whatever that is, and there's so much out there as we've been talking about. So you might come to my studio and be like, that's way too gentle for me. Or maybe you're like, oh, that is exactly what I wanted. There's just so much out there that, everyone can find whatever makes their heart sing.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely come and visit you in
Please
Houston one
do.
day.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we connected, and you're just wonderful and have this
Oh,
beautiful energy and presence. So
thank you.